folks, welcome to the very first episode of Learn to Paint TV. My name's Rod Moore, I'm the founder of Moore Art School, and I'm super excited to be able to bring you this brand new weekly online TV show where we teach you how to paint in oils and acrylics. So in this very first episode, we're going to do a great little seascape scene of a little coastal village in northern New South Wales. There's a town called Cabarita Beach, and there's a beautiful little outlet headland there, which we're going to paint that with a little bit of a foreground interest as well. Now, the very first thing we want to establish is where is the horizon, and looking at the photo, the actual sea horizon there, it's less than halfway. So if halfway would be there, we're talking, it's not far below halfway, it's probably round about there. So that's our first point that we need to find. Then the next point is where that sand comes in on this side here. It's lower than there, so that sand probably runs in through around about there. And then we have the foreground, which starts around about there. And I'm not going to do it exactly the same as the painting, as the photo, where it runs right across. I'm going to just take it to around about here. So I think that probably could be a bit lower. So that's going to be our foreground little sand dune that we're standing on there. We'll put some nice grasses and things like that. And then there's a couple of trees that run out of the painting there, which we'll talk about in a moment. Next thing to do is to establish where the headland's going to sit. So again, if that's our ocean horizon around about there, that point there is going to fit around about here. Maybe about there. And that headland is going to just run up a little bit of a and then just past the halfway mark, there's some rocks that come in around about there. And they run up through there. That dips down into there, and then that runs up like so. Let's just run that out to about there. Probably a little bit high, so I'll just run that through there. Then from those rocks, so there's a little bit of a rocky outcrop there. From those rocks we have the sandy beach. So the sandy beach there. And then there's a sandy beach that runs through there. Okay, so I'm just thinking through, the different big shapes there. When we look at the photo, there's really, the headlands is the main big shape. We've got the sky and the water, which is, two big shapes as well. We've got the sandy part here, and then this foreground interest with the trees. Okay, so we'll cut the trees into the painting rather than out of the painting, as you will see in the photo. So I've mapped all of that in, and the key point is to get those starting points, making sure that you understand where the horizon sits and identifying where each of the elements fit around the horizon. And it's all about getting those big shapes placed in initially. Now, it was a blue sunny day the day I was there. However, the headland was a little bit in shadow. It was early in the morning. And what I'm going to do is just use my little spray bottle just to moisten the canvas and the paint. When we're blocking in, we want the paint to flow on smoothly, so adding a little bit of water at this stage is probably not a bad idea. And let's just get this in and test this tone here. Then these rocks here, they get a little bit warmer. So I'll just add a little bit more red into that mix. Just for in the front here. There's all sorts of rocks and things happening in there. We'll just indicate them as one big mass for the moment. A warm tone to really bring it forward to us. So I'll make it a orangey, earthy tone. Lots of yellow ochre in there because we'll put a little bit of a sandy embankment in there. Get a little bit of water onto that so it flows better. And at this stage I'm just blocking in. So you can see there I've got a bit of dirt on the brush. That's okay. I don't mind that. See, I've got quite a bit of paint up there. I was actually going to grab my paper towel and wipe that off, but what I think I'll do is just actually utilise it. But I want a bit of water in there and make that flow a bit better. Now, the sky requires a gradient type of approach. So whenever that's the case, it's a very still sky. There's no clouds or anything like that. There's no movement in the sky. So therefore we want to just paint in bands like you can see there. And then each progressive band I'll add more white into the mix. Okay, probably a little bit too much white that time, but not to worry. A little bit more water. Okay, so you can see I'm just painting in bands. By doing that we can then blend the two together. And we'll end up with a nice transition from dark to light. So you can see why you need plenty of paint. This is a big area for this sky here. So don't be skimpy on the paint. You can see I've already run out of titanium white, or I'm about to. So before I go into that cerulean blue, I'm going to add more white up there. I want to make sure we get a nice amount of titanium white. And if you need to, you can actually take this time to reshape those edges if you need to. If you haven't quite got the shape right, if you've made it too big in one spot, you can use the sky just to cut it back. This section here is the main sort of center of interest, so I want to keep the edges on that a little bit sharper, a little bit harder edges than what I have off into the side here. So I'll take just a touch more time there. Write that down. See that nice cool tone that we get with the cerulean blue on the horizon line there is going to make our center of interest, the headland, really start to pop out. So basically it's a dark blue out the back there, and then it gets sort of greener in through here, and then it gets into a light blue in here as the sand gets, as the water gets shallower. So first of all, let's start with our distant blue. Now it's not going to be pure ultramarine blue, so I'll add in a little bit of titanium white in there. Lighten it back a bit. Okay. Let's test. Make sure you got that horizon line nice and level. I'll stand back in a moment and have a look. Now the good thing is, just in this corner here, there's a nice big splashing wave, which is good. Okay, so I'm reasonably horizontal there. Then it needs to start just getting just a touch greener. Now at this stage, to get it green, there's a couple of things I can do. I could add in cadmium yellow to that blue, or I could use a little bit of phthalo green. The phthalo green is quite strong, so just be careful if you do use that. Or I could take the cerulean and the alizarin crimson, but I'll just pop a little bit of this phthalo green here just for the moment. And let's just experiment. We'll take some of this blue again, take a touch of the phthalo green, a little bit of the cerulean and some white. Let's see what we end up with. You can see that phthalo green really wants to dominate there. I'll add a touch of the yellow ochre in. Okay. And let's just test that. You can see that's quite a shift. However, in the photo, that's what it is indicating, is that there's quite a big shift in the temperature and the colour. So I think that's pretty close. Just integrate a little tiny bit of that greener tone out the back. Okay, touch more of the yellow ochre. Can get rid of that brush, that one's no good. Just swap into a smaller brush. That other brush, the hairs were falling out of it a bit. It's causing me a bit of grief, which we don't want. A little bit of white in there. Let's just test that. You can see it's a nice greeny tone in there now. So I'll get a bit of water and get that flowing. So I'm just using my two blues, a bit of this phthalo green, touch of white just to lighten the back, and that seems to be working well. Just run that up to there. And then we've got that white foam that runs around through there. Just go a little bit that cooler blue into the back. Okay, welcome back. Now I've let this dry off quite a bit and we're ready to go now with step 3. So step 3 in the Moore method, of course, is our highlights, details and finishing touches. This is where we slow down, take our time and just start to bring this painting to life. I'm going to start out just working on our headlands and so on. We'll start to establish some of the grasses and the bushes and the rocks in here. And then we'll progressively work through the paintings. Ultramarine blue, I'll just mix those together and I'll add a little touch of the red, just a pinhead of the red there. Okay, I'm adding that in just to grey back that tone. Okay. And a touch more white, like so, and I might just a little bit more yellow in there. Roughly like that. So the key obviously is always to test. So if we come down here and just run that through. Now I think that's a pretty reasonable tone for what we're looking for. So we'll just run that in. Now it's important, I'll leave a little bit of that underpainting to pop through. I think that's always adds a nice sort of element to what we're doing. So just gentle pressure on the brush is the key to doing that. Okay, so we'll run this grasses through here, like so. Okay, that brings us now to the rocks. Now the rocks are a sort of a slaty grey colour. They're not very appealing. I'm going to warm them up, make them a bit more interesting looking. So I'm going to take our red and our yellow with a touch of the blue. Okay. Just don't want to lighten that off too much just yet, but something like that. And let's just exaggerate the tone of these rocks. As I said, they're not very appealing in that slate colour. And I'm just sort of working them in to create that effect that there's rocks in there, but there's also lots of shadow in there as well. So don't lose that shadow tone. Okay, so at this point I've put in some detail work into the headlands and so on. I think what I need to do now, I'm going to put in my dark for the trees. The trees in the actual photo, they're leaning out of the photo. So I want to have them start here and lean up into the photo with a bit of foliage in there, just to create some interest in the sky. To around about there. Sort of committed now. That's all right. We'll run that like so. And then we'll maybe run another branch of it running which way will we go? We'll go this way. We'll run another branch of it running back into there like so. And with that, I will put some foliage in because I think it'd be nice just to have a little bit of foliage here, but I don't want to overdo the foliage. It's, you know, this is not a painting about a tree. It just creates a nice frame. So I'll just mix up a little bit of dark. Just take my flat brush here, and I'm just going to scrub in just a little bit of foliage here and there, and we'll add in some extra twigs and things. In fact, let's just pop a couple in now. I'll take the script liner brush here, dip it in some water, just get a nice fine line. It's a bit more dark. Okay. I could probably strengthen up this in parts, but let's just run in just a few. Don't need much, we just need an indication. Okay, now I want to use nice big chunks of paint here, but it's important that you control the brush. So first of all, I'll start by cleaning the brush, and then I'll just pull the brush through the tip. So I've got nice big chunks of paint on the tip, and that'll give me plenty of paint to work with. So what we've got here is waves splashing up there. Okay, and then we've got plenty of white water happening. It's a bit of a wild old day actually, the day I was down there. So plenty of white water happening down there. And all through back through there. Okay, I'll just pull the paint out of the brush. I've got a little bit clumpy here, so underneath, not at the top, I'll just soften it. Like so. Load the brush up with paint again, and I'm just trying to work out where do we go through here. So I've put in that dark line earlier. Let's make that a breaking wave there. And there's plenty of this whitewash water happening through there. Now you don't have to follow the photo exactly, so just don't get too caught up on getting these waves exactly the same as what's in the photo. You know, basically ignoring, well, not ignoring the photo, but I'm currently just trying to paint in what I think is going to work with what I've already got up on the canvas there, not with what's in the photo. That's the important point. Okay, so I think I'm going to come back and just work on this tree a little bit more. I'll strengthen up the darks, put in a few more details, and then we'll start to get some highlights happening on this side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some liquefying medium just to make the paint flow a bit better for this detail work. And I'm just pouring it into a little lid of a jar that I've got sitting there. So I'll pop that down there. Make sure we've got enough blue and red. Get some more of that. Take our blue and our red. Mix those up, get some liquefying medium. Okay, let's just strengthen up this tree trunk here. So with our highlight, we basically want an orange. So we mix up the yellow and the red, mix those two together. Yellow ochre and the alizarin crimson. And then we take a chunk of the white, we mix that in. And that'll give us a nice highlight colour for a tree like this. Add in our liquefying medium. And then let's just test. It's probably a touch dark. I'll just lighten it up a little. Okay, so it starts to give that tree a nice three-dimensional feel. Okay, well, I think we're finished. Cabarita Beach, beautiful little headland, nice little coastal town, northern New South Wales. I think we've done a reasonably good little job of the painting for our first ever Learn to Paint TV episode. I do like the way this foreground tree just creates a nice frame. Got this strong sort of colours in the foreground grasses here, and this sort of intimate little look down into the beach with the headland there. It's a fun little painting. It's take your time with it. It's definitely one to have a go at if you like seascape painting, and you can do it in oils or acrylics. I've enjoyed doing it. I hope you've enjoyed it as well, and I'll see you next time on Learn to Paint TV. Cheers for now.